I'm Sarah from The Joy Farmer, and I'm here today with Jen from Studio 24 Botanicals. We're back to answer a few more dahlia questions. This is the lucky last lot, and we're going to mainly focus on what to do when you get your tubers and sort of more at the start of the season, a couple of specific growing questions that we hadn't answered. So for a lot of you, this will be the first time you even see a tuber. I remember seeing mine for the first time, and they look a little bit like a potato if you haven't seen one before. So you get it in the post, and what do you do with it?
Okay, so first thing to do is check it's intact, it's not rotted, it's looking reasonably plump. There are sometimes you get them in a little bit shriveled. A little bit of shrivel is actually okay. It just means they've lost a little bit of moisture, whether it's in transit or storage, but it doesn't mean that they won't grow. And size does not matter. In fact, I much prefer that sort of size tubers.
Easier to plant.
Yeah, far easier to plant. They also put more energy into growing new sprouts as opposed to using up the energy from their mother tuber. But anyway,
the necks is the other thing to check,
if you've got broken necks is kind of a really important thing. If it has kind of snapped, it won't grow. It's sort of that food source that they draw from is been disconnected, so it's really important. Sometimes you'll find with tubers you receive in the mail, they come in a clump, but some of them are all kind of withered, and not withered but kind of broken off, and they're dangling and things. You just chop those off. More often than not, you can get away with popping the clump into the ground with the broken necks cut off afterwards, and then it seems to shoot away.
Yeah, as long as you've got one sort of viable tuber there within your clump, it should grow. And sometimes you're even able to divide those clumps that you get. But you also may just get a single tuber, which people often call a drumstick, because that's what it sort of looks like.
Yeah. You'd be surprised how tenacious tubers are. They
want to grow.
Yeah, they want to grow. Well, you can grow a whole plant from a cutting, which doesn't even have a tuber to start with. So, yeah, that goes to show how incredible they really are. So anyway, back to what you do once you've got them and you've checked them and make sure they're okay, is to pot them up if you're getting them in the spring, but it's October, probably around Labour weekend is when you would want to be planting out. Anytime before that, doesn't matter where you are in New Zealand, the soil is probably too cold, and if you get moisture or rain, they have more of a tendency to rot. So you're safer if you get them in that spring period of September, early October, is pot them up, and you can get a bit of a head start on them. Make sure they're somewhere protected. Don't water. I think that
was about what I was about to say. Was one good tip is don't put it in the ground and just lay the water in.
But not like any other plant that you go, we'll plant it and water it.
I mean, it's good to have some moist soil that it goes into, or your potting mix be moist when you pot it up, but it doesn't need to be saturated.
Because once it kind of starts to wake up, and it'll send off little wee roots and things, and that's how it draws in the moisture, as opposed to when you first put it in. If it's got too much moisture on it, it does have a higher risk of them rotting, unfortunately. But they do have in that wee tuber enough energy for them to get that wee shoot going, and I would recommend not planting them with the neck way out of the soil. I know a lot of people see videos or pictures of them like with their necks high above the soil, but I would recommend planting about 1 centimetre if you're potting them up. And then you can also check once they get growing whether they have any diseases or anything like that as well.
Yeah, so I definitely love to pot up all my new tubers because there is a chance that you do pick up that disease before it gets into your garden, and then you can just bin the whole pot. But sometimes it doesn't show up until they become stressed in the garden, so it's just luck of the draw. I think that's probably all we need to know about what to do when you get your tuber. But the main thing, because I've had a friend that's gone and bought one from Mitre 10 and then stuck it straight in the garden. I've been like, no, it's only September. We're still getting frost there. I mean, they're frost tender, so do do wait until the soil's warmed up in your local environment. The next question, we just had a couple of other specific questions. One was, what are the best varieties for growing in Wanaka, and what should I be looking for?
So for that, it is really just a matter of finding the varieties that you love and trialing them, and if they do well, then that's great. And there's not really any particular ones that I have found that are better than others in our climate, and it also is dependent on the health of the tuber when you get it, where it's from. Also, yeah, I think that's
Sometimes you just get a weak
really.
tuber, and
Yeah.
if you buy a new one,
Yeah.
sometimes it grows fine the next time. The only thing I have noted really locally is our high UV does sometimes sap the colours, and the colours don't come out true because sunlight takes red first. And so if you've got a colour that has red in it, sometimes you find that you get that drawn out and it doesn't come out quite how you expected.
Yeah.
But yeah, and some of them it doesn't affect them at all.
Yeah.
So it's just,
and it can vary over the season. You can start off, sometimes I find cafe au lait is really almost quite a rich pink and then fades out in the autumn to that real beautiful coffee tone.
So milky. So that's something to note. The other question we had on growing was tips for growing dahlias in pots.
Okay, so in a pot, you need to be decent sized pot. They're really heavy feeders, dahlias, so you need plenty of space, so that they don't dry out, and feed often. Probably I feed ours in our garden every fortnight. So in a pot, I would recommend putting a good amount of some sort of fertilizer, whether it's a bulb fertilizer, seaweed. I use seaweed granules for ours, which seems to kind of keep them going because it's a slower release, and that keeps it going over the summer. But then we also do a foliar feed as well. So there's a huge variation of different types of feeding options for them, but also plenty of moisture, not initially when you put them in, but because pots do tend to dry out a little bit more. But it also gives you the option of moving them as well. So if you've got them and you're looking like you might get a frost, you can actually protect them as well and give you a bit more growing time. So.
And probably we said don't water them in pots at the start when you're starting them off, but once they start growing, and same within the ground, get the water on them. They do love water. It's just until they get started, there's that risk of rot and it getting cold and damp and the tuber rotting. Okay. So I think that's all the questions. If we've missed one of your questions, let us know, but and we're happy to answer anything else. We possibly will do a few more videos on other topics. So if there's another topic you want us to talk about, or
because we don't grow just dahlias, as much as we love them, but
if there's anything else you'd love to know, just pop us through a DM and we'll get back together and film a video for you.
Might even go on site somewhere, do some garden videos.
Well, we might get adventurous. Obviously we're very amateur at this videoing at the moment. We need to go on a video editing course, but for now I hope this is useful. See you. Bye.